You're standing in a muddy field at dawn. It's freezing and you can see your breath. Standing at the top of the hill in the distance, you see thousands of soldiers in full plate armour marching towards you. The roar of war drums grows louder, your heart pounds, and you're holding onto a weapon that you barely even know how to use. The ground trembles as the battle is about to begin. You are absolutely shitting yourself. Right, so do you think that you could survive a medieval battle? I want to know what you think in the comment section. How do you think you would do if you were sent back in time and had to fight in a medieval battle? Now, when us modern folk think about medieval battles, we often imagine that brute strength and size would be the determining factor. Popular movies and TV shows such as Game of Thrones have demonstrated the effectiveness of just being the biggest guy, swinging the biggest sword, and you'll be fine. Now, this makes sense to a certain extent, as in a time before bullets, you had to get up close and personal. However, in reality, there is a factor that helped you survive a medieval battle much more than size and strength. Can you guess what it is? Well, we're going to get to that in a moment, but first, let's set the scene. A medieval battle was nothing like a movie. It was pure chaos. Screaming men, horses charging, arrows blotting out the sun. The noise was deafening. Steel clashes, war cries, and the screams of the wounded. It would have been claustrophobic as hell, sandwiched between 10,000 men who were all trying to survive. There's no escape, no hiding, and you have to fight for your life. Right, so how do you survive? Well, let's break it down, shall we? First of all, what are you armed with? If you're lucky, you might have a spear. Why a spear? Well, because with a spear, you don't have to get too up close and personal. You can jab from a relatively safe distance and avoid the whole messy business of close combat like those crazy guys with axes or warhammers. If you're lucky, you might have a sword. However, swords are expensive and extremely difficult to use. Without proper training, which you don't have, or years of experience, which again you don't have, you're basically just holding a shiny stick. Alright, so as you didn't grow up learning all this stuff, a big pointy spear is probably your best bet. Alright, let's move on. Armour. Alright, so armour should be pretty obvious, right? I mean, full plate armour, obviously. Okay, well, where are you going to get full plate armour from? It's the 14th century. You can't just order full plate armour from Amazon. So, unless you can make some serious connections with a blacksmith quickly, who, by the way, is probably not going to really be able to understand what you're saying, you might be in trouble. Most people wore cloth as that's all they had. I mean, it's better than nothing, but let's face it, one good stab and that's it, you're completely done. So basically, survival in a medieval battlefield actually depended very much on your social status. This also extends to how you're treated after the battle. Kings, lords and knights often escaped death because they were valuable, and if they were kept alive, they could be ransomed to the enemy to bring in money after an expensive military campaign. Peasants like me and you could not be ransomed because, let's face it, no one cared. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the number one survival tip in a medieval battle. Discipline. In a battle, discipline could save your life. If your line held firm, you're probably going to be alright. But if your line broke, you're probably Running away is not an option, as statistically you are significantly more likely to be killed in retreat than by holding your ground. This is especially true if the enemy has cavalry and if you're on foot, or if they have archers. Either way, staying in formation and sticking with your unit, that was survival. Right, so now it's time to talk about some unexpected killers. Heat exhaustion. So you are potentially wearing up to 50 pounds of armour in the heat, marching for miles and then having a fight which could last 6 hours. You can't just ask for a timeout so that you can have a Dr. Pepper. You're in this to the end. Not to mention back then people would often drink wine or beer, as water wasn't always safe to drink. This was great, but it would also make you more dehydrated. By the way, shout out to my history of alcohol video. Click here to watch it. It's a really interesting video. So, if you do manage to survive the battle, you need to find a drink quickly. Good luck with that, because there weren't too many vending machines back then. Another unexpected killer was infections caused by cuts and battlefield-related injuries. Sometimes surviving a battle wasn't enough, it was the aftermath that could kill you. Let's face it, you're going to get banged up a little bit, and that cut that you've got on your leg, well, that's going to get infected if not treated properly. There were no antibiotics, no fresh water for miles, and every single doctor back then would not even be fit to be qualified as a first aider today. So you might be in trouble. So, could you survive? Maybe. I mean, you would have to be disciplined, experienced, which you're not, fit and able to follow orders. This would somewhat be feasible if you had the training, but you haven't. You're from 2025. You've probably never even held a sword before, and suddenly you're up against Sir What's-His-Face, and he's been training since he was a kid. Alright, so let's say that you're amazing, okay? You somehow manage to handle the heat, stay calm under ridiculous pressure, and you have some natural fighting instincts. Alright, you might just survive after all, assuming that you don't get so much as a scratch on you because your body's immune system is not going to be cut out for the 14th century. Alright, let's be real. Most modern people would not last 5 minutes in a medieval battlefield. The average medieval European battle casualty rate was around 30%. This meant that someone who grew up during this time period and possibly even had some training had a 1 in 3 chance of death every battle they fought in. Yeah, sorry bro, but you're probably gonna die. But before you do, please like and subscribe. I really want to hear some comments in this one. What do you think? Would you survive? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching and have a great day.